to me. So guys, prepare. This is episode 1 of Personal Chats. So I wanted to start this one off with a bit more of a a bit more sort of just hitting what we've come from, who we are, where we're going. That's really what I wanted to touch on. So, as you can see, today's topic is the journey, or enjoying the journey, which I think is a really special topic for a lot of people, because a lot of people sort of always get caught up in that whole, oh, how do you enjoy the journey? How do you... Oh, I'm going to turn my music down. How can you... You just can't hear it at all. How can you sort of feel good from where you are to where you want to be, and that in-between motion, you know? Everyone sort of like goes into it and sort of like, oh, I'm not sure. Nick, Nat, how you doing, brother? Enjoy this little chat. It's not going to be a super long chat, but it's going to be a chat for you, so it might give you a little bit of insight into where you're going. So, enjoying the journey, guys. That's the topic for today's discussion. Now, I've written up a couple notes and a bit of a talk about it, but I just want to sort of walk you through it and sort of talk about the science behind it and how to feel good moving through it. So it's not all just goal orientated. It's about enjoying the little things, taking the time to smell the roses in a sense. And I'm really good, dude. Really good. Very tired, but really good. Keen to be here tonight. Today's stream is a really special one for me. But okay, so one thing I have to touch on straight off the bat with this chat is success is not key to happiness. And I'm going to say that again because I think it's such a really important just sentence or phrase, whatever you call it. It says, success is not the key to happiness. It's actually the other way around. Everyone sees all these amazing, high successful people and they're just like, oh, they must be so happy, they're so successful. A lot of them aren't really that happy if you think about it. A lot of them struggle. A lot of them have mental illness that they cope with every day, and there's only the small few that are able to give back and have enough wealth to share it around. So I guess in that sense is success can actually undermine your happiness and drive you to behave in ways that are detrimental to your health and relationships. I think that's such a really important topic, because success is what I feel like when, from a young age, we're always brought up to think, oh, if I'm successful, I'll be happy, I'll get a good wife, I'll have a good family, blah, 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 and all these things will just roll off. But after doing a bit of research and a bit of study, it's actually the opposite. It's pretty crazy like that. So I guess the question I wanted to sort of put to everyone in the stream today is, how can we make the transition for looking for success, but how can we turn it from looking for success, but turn it to looking for happiness instead? How can we turn success into our happiness? So the first little thing that I came up with that I thought was really important was you need to change your approach to achievement. And I think this is a really important part. If you change your approach to achievement, so rather than gunning for the top, being the best, being number one, slow down, stop, enjoy where you're at, think about where you've come from, where you are. Just take a second to breathe, man. Like, let's just... It's just not, it's refreshing. It stops you. You got to learn from the hurdles that you overcome. You accept each challenge as they come. And these are such big things that I think not only my generation, which is the millennial generation, but all future generations are going to struggle with, because we're always hit with this, you need to be the best now, forever, always. And like you look at Ninja, for instance, like he's #1 streamer in the world pretty much. Went to Mixer, Mixer's down, and no longer a thing. So it's just like, it's these things is, I would bet you $1,000, honestly, that Ninja looked back at certain key points in his streaming career and said, yeah, I really enjoyed these parts. And that's what it's about, man. That's what it's about. It's learning from the hurdles, accepting each challenge as they come. So that's different tiers of what you want to be as a streamer, as a person. I'll use streams as a sort of a generalization because streaming is what I want to be successful in myself. But you need to sit back and always reevaluate where you are compared to where you were and where you want to go. Really important. But in saying that, as long as you're moving in the right direction, you will encounter numerous victories along the way. There's no doubt. The more you do something, the better you get. And that's such a big thing. Like you need to know that there will be victories, there will be losses. You will feel days where there are losses, but there's going to be huge victories. And that's so important. But you use these victories to boost your happiness. And then you use that to strive for even more. So it's like you get yourself a cookie and then you're like, ooh, that was a really good cookie. I'm going to try harder to get another cookie. And you get another cookie and you're like, ooh, 2 cookies. Now we're jamming. Thanks, man. You have a good one, brother. So it's looking to boost those victories and those wins that you get on a daily, weekly basis and pushing you further and making you hungry. And the best thing about having these little snippets and memories from the positive outcomes and the wins you get is you can pull them out on bad days. If you're having a rough day, if you're struggling, something might not be hitting where you want it to be, you can look back and say, hey, I had some good wins. Some really good wins. And I think that's such a big thing for the journey. Like, if you don't sit back, stop, reflect, look at what you've actually accomplished and see the big things that you've done. Like, honestly, that's huge. You need to do that. Which also leads me on to the next little bit of the topic. I didn't realize I was going through this so quickly, but I think this is going to be like a nice little video. I'll put this on YouTube. Is don't forget to surrender to the moment. And I think this is sort of something I touched on briefly before, which is stop and smell the roses. It's slow down. Just relax. You don't need to be at the top of your game every day. You don't. It's unrealistic. Slow down, take it easy. Jay Edison, g'day, how you doing? So it's really smart. You don't need to be thinking ahead so much. We are in the present. Be in the present, experience the present. That's such a big thing that we keep forgetting, is we get lost in who's, what's, where's, and all these totally random events that haven't even happened. They're all made up in your mind. But if we can come back to the single moment that is right now, guaranteed you'll find happiness at some point there. It's a guarantee. Now, which brings me on to one of my favorite quotes from a really favorite movie of mine. You'll all know it, Kung Fu Panda. But from Master Oogway, he says, "I'm good, man. How are you? You having a good day?" Favorite quote of his is, "Yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, but today is a gift." That is why they call it the present. I've always loved that. And it sort of really puts it in perspective too. It's just like, history, you can't change history. It's set in stone. Tomorrow is a mystery. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Could break my leg tomorrow. That's a very morbid way of looking at it, but I could win $1,000 tomorrow. It's all part of it, man, which is really an exciting thing. But the present, man. Oh, that's all good, Edson. No worries. Hope your day is as good as mine, with less tiredness, is what I would say. I'm very tired, but that's not stopping us. We will soldier on. So the topic of not like learning to surrender to the moment, the one thing we have to realize as well with how the mind works, how we are as humans, is the mind wanders. We have so many random thoughts, events, things in our brain that just happen randomly. Thank you so much, Edison, sorry, for the follow. Welcome to the sky, brother. So the mind wanders a lot, and that means we spend so much time worrying about things that are completely out of our control. It's such a big thing that we don't even realize we do half the time, because we're not conscious about it. But these events, these thoughts that we conjure up in our mind, these won't make us happy. They won't, because we're coming up with unrealistic expectations of what could happen, might happen, should happen, has happened. Like, we're just thinking too much about the world. that's why it's so important, again, to just surrender to the moment, come back to that singular point and say, right now, I feel great. And that brings us on to, so when you are going for big victories and wins, when you're really gunning for those big goals of yours that you've set, just focus on the task at hand. And that's such an important factor, is you really need to laser focus almost. If there is one, you don't just jump up a flight of stairs, you have to take each step at a time. If you're brave enough, you start taking 2 steps or 3 steps at a time, but it gets riskier every time. But if you focus on that first step and then take it and then go to the next step, the next step, the next step, next thing you know, you're right at the top and you're standing at the top of the stairs. And the best thing about that is, if you take it one step at a time, you'll probably end up doing a better job. It's shown. Half the companies that have been successful have taken their time doing these things for their businesses, for their companies, and they've succeeded. They're working companies. And it's the same with streaming. It's the same with just living your life. If you want to go talk to a girl, for instance, the first step is just talking to a girl. You could say absolute nonsense at the start. You could just be like, that's okay. Because that's part of the journey. You've made that first step. That's so big. And if someone came up to me and told me, hey man, I spoke to this really pretty girl the other day, I came off like an idiot, but I felt so good after, holy shit, I would have to hug them immediately and be over the moon for them, be like, mate, you've just taken the biggest step of your life and I'm so proud of you. These are the things, these are the small little wins every single person should be loving in life, like without a doubt. You'll find that you will gain more from the journey than the final success at the end. So although I guess in relationships there's a bit of a difference, but getting to somewhere is far more beneficial, I guess is probably the best word, than actually getting there, because you learn everything along the way. You're changing, you're evolving, you're developing as a person, you're developing as a business. And it's these steps that we've talked about, these little incremental steps that really push your character to its absolute breaking limit. And these limits is what is really successful. It's really good. The journey is what makes you. It shapes you. It molds you into the person you will become. And that's why it's so important for people to actually think about each step and focus on the now and enjoy the journey. And again, enjoying the journeys. We want you to enjoy the journey. So at the end, you come out of it going, that was just fun to do. And that's such a huge thing. It's so huge. And I think it really is a thing that we need to focus on a lot more in not only my generation, but all generations, is look at how we can set goals, but actively work towards goals, put them in place and actually develop as people. It's how we've had to evolve as a humankind. But in saying that as well, balance is key. There has to be a balance. You definitely can't forget that there are things you need to focus on too. So I'm not saying don't set big goals or just become lazy and don't worry if you're thinking about it, it'll happen. No, you need to be active. You need to work towards it. And you need to strive for greatness. Just don't let a single goal dictate your life. If you've got this big dream of what you want to do in the future, and you've got it, you're set in stone that this is what you want to do and this is where you want to be in however many years time, and then you start doing that and you realize it's not what you want. See, this is what happens, and this is where you'll find unhappiness and you won't be excited. You need to enjoy the pursuit of your goal with the diversions along the way. You need to realize that there will be twists, there will be turns, there will be walls, there'll be obstacles, there'll be things pushing you in the right direction. But if your intent is pure and you know that this is what you were put on this earth to do, it's your why as a person, the universe will get out of your way and give it to you. If it is absolutely determined in your mind, in your heart, in your soul, if you want to get to this, that's the universe will just be like, all right, no worries. We'll see you there, dude. Keep going. And that's what's so important. Because it's so amazing to have ambition. It's so amazing to push your boundaries. but you can't close yourself off from other pursuits or other paths, even if they lead nowhere. You know what? It's great to hit a dead end. I've hit hundreds of dead ends already with my stream, and now I'm starting my first episode of what can we do progressively to make it better. How can I evolve? And it's these dead ends and these obstacles that I've hit that have changed me to where I am and are really shaping who I'm going to be as an entertainer, as a streamer. But the final thing I'll leave you on for this is dream big, but start small. It's such a small little thing, but if you dream big, but you start small, start at that very first step, you will get there. You will succeed. And you'll absolutely have the greatest time in the world with what you're doing, and the journey will just evolve into this beautiful thing that you will not even realize was a fantastic journey, but you'll look back and just be in awe at how amazing it is.